everyone. It has absolutely been a very long time since I've hopped on a live, but I have definitely some stuff I want to share with you guys, and it's not going to be super long, but it was definitely longer than what would be on a story, so I figured, let me hop on this live. And I've been mulling over, like I've said so many other times before, I have all this content in my head and I just don't get a chance to get it all out. And even when I'm about to talk about right now, I was totally thinking about it while I was getting ready. And I was so tempted to just like stop doing my hair and go hop on, hey girl, hey, and go share my heart with you guys. So I was like, I need to get ready, stay focused, Shireen. So here I am sitting in my car. I actually have a few minutes before meeting with my next, basically just my next meeting. And I wanted to talk about something that, again, it's going to be like 5 minutes, right? So you could consider this like a Speak Life with Shireen for 5 minutes, fill your cup episode, and I probably will tag it as that. But, oh my gosh, like so many things about it are literally just like, so here's what almost a car accident. Here's what I want to share with you guys. So many times, especially if you're a believer, you're totally going to know exactly where I'm coming from. But so many times, it's ingrained in us, right? There's like, or this thought process, or maybe we do it to ourselves. Maybe we think about it. Maybe we've been taught this. Maybe this is what's been trained or said to you so many times, or maybe it's just something that you hold to for yourself. And thinking, gosh, I'm trying to, and I had it all in my head too. I know the enemy is like, nope. For us to not do things that will cause our brother and sisters to sin, basically, like things that will, sorry, my lips is dry, things that will not hinder each other, right? So like the basically the thought is to not do things that are going to cause your brother or sister in Christ to sin or to fall and all those different things. And so if you're a believer, right, some of these things that I'm going to mention, you've absolutely heard of them. Or maybe these are just some concepts from Christianity that have dripped over just into life, period. Like girls, right, like not wearing dresses or skirts or cleavage showing shirts because we don't want men to, we don't want them to to fall, right? We don't want them to sin. We don't want them to lust after you or to have the desire to want to cheat on their spouses to go with you or whatever, right? Or we don't smoke around people who are trying to quit smoking because it entices them to want to smoke. Or we don't drink in front of our brothers and sisters who are alcoholics because we don't want to entice them to drink. Those last two, I can completely understand. Absolutely. Like, for sure, right? Like, if it's a struggle, I think that's pretty fair. Like, don't do those things around someone who is struggling in that area, or someone who is really argumentative. Like, they love the drama, definitely, right? And they're trying to stay away from it, and then here you come with bringing them drama about gossip, or, you like to stir the pot. Don't do it with someone who's trying not, who has a real serious problem with that and is trying to get better. I think those are some of the examples, right, that we think about. I think one of the biggest ones is the first one that I mentioned, right, and how we dress, and not luring someone to doing something. Here's what I have to say about that. Here is what I have to say about that. Okay, so the first one, like I already mentioned, the drinking, smoking, stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I do agree. Like, you shouldn't be flaunting your, margarita in someone's face if they really struggle with alcoholism and are trying to better themselves. I think it's tough for them, for sure. As far as girls dressing a certain way to basically make sure that men still maintain being a gentleman and not being total sleazeballs, completely disagree. And that's my stance on it. That's on that. But here's another one, and this is where it gets a little, like, I know I'm kind of joking and laughing here, but this is one that's actually really, really bothersome to me. This is one that I think we skip right over, and I think because if we're being honest with ourselves, it affects how we then respond, right? It affects how we act. Some of the things I think that people don't think about is like making comments, and this does relate specifically for me for a particular situation. But talking about people and to people, especially children, and how we convey them, what we say about them, what kind of baggage we put on them. Because we do. Adults, we tend to do stuff like that. You ever notice how kids, you guys seriously will understand here. You see a little kid, let's say a little boy and a little girl, right? Literally like 2-3 years old. They're talking and they're playing and they're batting eyelashes and they're laughing and giggling. What is the first thing adults do? Oh my gosh, they're flirting, or oh, they like each other. Ooh, you better watch him. Better put a leash on him. Ooh, girl, you better lock her up. Stop it. Stop putting adult situations on these little babies. Guess what? Their mind capacity is not even there yet to even think about that. They're just being kids and they're having a grand time and laughing and playing. It's us adults who put those things on them. Just as us adults put things on kids, especially girls, with how they should dress. Like, you have shorts on, so does that little girl. Guess what? Sammy So over there, if he's looking at her like a perv, it's not her job to go change her outfit and put on a dress that touches the ground or pants that touch the ground so that he can then keep his hoo-ha in his pants and be a gentleman. It is our job to correct society and saying, hey, don't look at her like that. Like, you know what I mean? Putting people in their spot. Seriously, putting them in their place. Like, and if you have to tell family members or friends, if you have to tell your kids when they come over, like, hey, you should change, so-and-so's coming over, you have to warn them about someone's behavior, baby, they don't belong visiting you. They don't belong in your house. If you have to warn your children about somebody who's going to be around them because of how they are going to portray your children, they don't deserve to be in your circle. And guess what? The same goes for teachers. If teachers are going to make comments about your kids, and this is where I think this is truly what comes from this, don't do things to people that are going to send them off the edge and influence them to do things that are going to hinder them or make them sin. When people, especially adults, put kids, especially today, in situations where they are talking about them, they portray them in a bad light, they make them seem like bad kids or put extra stuff on them. Like, I literally have had this done to my daughter where she was playing with a friend. She was in 3rd grade. I feel bad. I shouldn't even be using her info. Anyways, people just put things on kids that, seriously, they're just being kids, but adults turn it into adult situations. And so, long story short, the situation made it seem as if she was asking for attention, which it wasn't even that. Her and a kid were playing. And the adult turned it into an adult situation. So what happens is that is pegged then as that's the type of situation or the type of person that someone is. And you know what happens to these poor children as they're being told over and over by all these little pegged situations is that that's who they are, right? This happens a lot, especially in the community of people of color. You go into a situation or to community, to an education, to a school, to a job, and you're told by how they treat you, by the comments that they make, by the insinuations that you're a hoochie mama or you're ghetto or you're a pimp. I'm like trying to think of all the words that people will say, and this is referenced a lot towards people of color. They're taught that this is who they are, that we're not enough, that it's our fault. Right? It's our fault because you decided to wear those shorts, or the same exact shorts that super skinny, no curvy girl has. And no offense to anybody who, you're skinny, you don't have curves, whatever. Everybody's made different. But people of color, you got curves, you got stuff working out. Y'all could have the same size shorts on, but it's a little bit different. And everybody has something to say, and it's her fault, not the douchebag's fault for his eyes wandering or his hands wandering. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about those things. It's not fair. So anyways, all these things are put on these kids, and then they grow up with this feeling of it's them, it's their fault, and they should be changing how they dress. They should change how they talk. Even if they're defending themselves, they shouldn't speak up. They shouldn't say anything. Just take it. Be respectful. And then here's where all of those actions, those are what push our brothers and sisters in Christ over the edge. Those are the things that push people to sin, right? To become alcoholics or to become drug addicts, because they're trying to cope with all the drama and stress that society has put on them, that adults have put on them. You know, if a girl is strong in her character and who she is and speaks up for herself, she's seen as a drama queen. If a boy, does the same thing, he's seen as a leader. And this is not a knock on boys or girls. I have both. So I'm super grateful. And there's stuff that happens to guys too that I think is so unfair. Do you know one time my son got in trouble for stopping a fight between a boy and a girl? And he got in trouble for that. I was like, do you know who my son is? He's like such a gentleman. Like, I have parents wishing they could clone my child for their daughters. Like, are you serious? But anyways, that's a whole other conversation. So things happen. Like, there's this level that is put on children by adults, by society, that is so unfair. Or like guys not being able to cry or to have raw emotion. It is taught to them that makes them weak or insecure or not manly enough, not strong enough. Are you crazy? Have you ever seen a man with his daughter cry over her? Or, you know, I'm sure, ladies, you would have loved to have your husband shed a tear when you walk down the aisle, right? Allow men to cry. Allow them to have feelings. Allow them to you know, relish in those moments. Even in that, right? We're constantly telling men, you can't do this, you can't do that. That's not manly enough. So then what happens? Men bottle all that up, and then they raise more men who then can't cry. Like, we're just pushing them over the edge. And so anyways, those moments, those stressors, that trauma of growing up and all of that is what sends people over the edge and, again, becoming alcoholics, drug addicts, or abuse. They're unable to communicate effectively. They resort to all these other options, and to some, sends them over the edge in a lifestyle that, you know what, they never otherwise would have even chosen. So when I think about that whole saying, and it is a Bible verse, right? Like, you're not supposed to push your brother and sister to the extent of causing them to sin. Can we stop making it about ourselves, you know, and twisting it to fit the certain narrative that basically allows, I really want to say what I want to say, but I don't want to say, because I don't want to offend anybody in that sense either. It needs to be what is, and understand that certain comments and situations and traumas that we put on these people, those are the things also that really, that's what we should be focused on, and keeping away from pushing people over the edge and causing them to sin. It's not about Sally Susie's dress and enticing married Joe Blow to not lust over her. It's about not putting things on these kids and people in general that's not really who they are. It's those moments that we need to speak up and stop that and start speaking life over them and remind them how great they are, who they belong to, and man, how they're destined for greatness and how they're wonderful. And you know what? Skinny, chunky, chubby, fat, whatever you want to call it, they're beautiful and they're so loved. You know, slow thinkers, athletic jocks, or super smart but not an athletic bone in their body. Like, everybody's different. Not everybody's meant to do the same thing. Stop putting stuff on them that's not meant for them, and start loving and admonishing and speaking life over the things that are them. And can we stop putting stuff on them that then carries over to become their character, that pushes them into the edge of giving up, of seeking out a life that they really don't want either. They don't want to be drinking. These kids, they don't want to be smoking. They don't want to be doing the things that make them seem cool enough to fit in because their family and teachers and everybody else wants to portray them as. Like, I don't know. It's okay, I'm gonna do it. Okay, bestie, I don't even know how long I've been on here, probably like a good 10 to 12 minutes now, but it is this And I'm so, like, if you are a white male and you're incredible and you're amazing, and it's not just to white people, it's really not, but it's like there's this white male dominance, you know what I mean? It's like we tiptoe everything around it, rules, laws, biblical laws that are portrayed in a way that, again, right, we step back from putting these things on people, especially kids, telling them who they're really not, and we change it to making it seem like that whole rule, that whole thought process is really about us covering up and wearing things how we should, or speaking like a lady means just shutting up and taking it all. Who is that benefiting? I mean, I'm not saying you got to come at people crazy. I think the delivery of the message is so important. And I bet you could get both boys and girls to deliver their message in a loving, strategic, genuine, impactful way if we just stop shutting them down and shutting them up, so that we can fit the narrative that we want instead of actually listening to them. But when we don't, we push these kids into seeking out moments in their life that they will regret, and some of them will never come out of it. And teachers, pastors, parents, we do this, and we've got to get better. Let's get better. Let's change the narrative. I remember one time somebody, I'm not going to get into all that, but somebody made a comment about a girl just bending over, just talking to her mom, had some jeans on, and someone made a comment like, why are you bending over like that? You know, your pants. Like, dude, she had pants on. The problem isn't her bending over to talk to her mom. The problem is your thought process and looking at her like that and thinking that way. Let's call people out on their stuff. Like, let's stop allowing people to put that narrative on our kids. You know what? If your little kid, little girl, wants to wear red nail polish, red lipstick, this is old school stuff, that doesn't mean she's a hooker. That doesn't mean she's asking for the wrong kind of attention. Change the narrative. If a man looks at red and sees a horny situation, the problem is him, not her. If your son is loving and affectionate and, you know, dotes on a girl, or, I don't know, cherishes a friendship, admonish that, encourage that. That's going to be an incredible man when he gets older. But be okay with being able to willingly tell him, and moms, this goes for you too, if there's a little boy who's like, oh, he's just so cute, oh honey, hug him back, he just wants to hug you, you know, it's okay, or oh, make him, you know, give him a kiss, or whatever, or forcing our kids to kiss family members or hug them. Make it okay. Tell them it's okay to say no, and give them the okay to stand up for themselves. I have given that okay for my kids, and you know what? They have gotten in trouble for it. Not for the family stuff, but just at school and things like that. Like, speaking up for themselves when someone has wronged them or really outed them or made very inappropriate comments about them to a class, or, you know, hearing things about them that are said that are unnecessary and completely unrelated to education. Well, they may have gotten in trouble. It's our job as parents too, and those who are around these kids, to encourage them, to remind them that they've got a support system who's got their back, and keep encouraging that voice, because the voice is being muffled every day by every agenda that is out there to shut it all down. So, I don't know. That was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. My point being is, going back to, you know, everybody thinks that whole thing is about, that whole verse is about things like that, like not pushing someone over the edge to fornicate or to cheat on their spouse with someone who they're lusting over, or drinking or smoking with someone who's struggling in those areas. And honey, it's deeper than that. It's, and I'm not even buying the whole outfit lusting situation. Psh, please, get out of here with that. If you're a perv, you're a perv, and I'm calling you out on it. Sorry, not sorry. But it's about people not pushing people to the edge with treating them like crap and speaking crappy about them, and then pushing them over the edge to, as they're coding their situation, their anger, their pain, their upset, going into, I don't know, drugs, sex, alcohol, or whatever, to ease their own pain. Like, that's on you. You're the one who caused that. Everybody makes their own choices, absolutely, yes. But that right there is what the scripture is talking about. Don't push people to go into those situations. Be loving, be kind, speak life over these people, especially if you're in a position as a teacher, a pastor, a parent. Speak life over these kids. They need it. Straight up. We all need it. You need it, so why wouldn't they need it? All right. Thanks for coming to my Speak Life with Shireen and filling your cup. And I'm sorry it was so long. That was really just making up for all the lost time. Okay. Thanks so much. Hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, hit me up in my DMs because I'm happy to chat about it some more. Love you. Bye.